So the gosh, where do you start on this? So I've been doing this work a really long time, and I have been I've encountered other people's work, and I've encountered lots of people who are doing their own form of growth and development in their lives. And at this point, I've begun to focus on what makes the difference in a more accelerated process. How do we grow faster, not because we're in a race, but just because we understand the leverage points. And I think this is where we have the difference between self-help and self-development, and it's also the difference of the place where we have the doing versus being, and it's also the layer where we are starting to focus inward, and we're starting to notice what we think and what we feel and why we react the way that we do, versus focusing outward, which is what they just do. Can you believe they said that? And then, you know what, they did that? I would never do that. Like that outward kind of attention to something. If you imagine, it would be like every minute of every day, there's something you're experiencing, something you're thinking, something that's come up from your life. And instead of the focus being on what caused it to get provoked or what caused it to get activated, we're really focusing inward and saying, where does that live in me, and how did that come to be? So, you know, I don't think this is so novel or unusual. That the idea is that we're going to go through these layers of the self. So there's this intellectual layer, and then there's the emotional layer, and then there's the physical layer, and then there's what I call the being or experiential layer, and then of course there's the spiritual layer. And what happens in each of those layers is they all have a different language. They use different imagery. They have a certain pace. Some of those layers like to move at a really fast pace, and other layers need the time to kind of allow things to settle in. And they also relate to each other in ways that are worth learning about. So when I started, my intellect pretty much ran the show and had a whole lot to say about all the other layers, to the point that I don't think I had any connection or relationship to my body. So when we're going inward, right, we're going to go into being, we're going to focus inward in self-development, because again, self-help is on the behavior or the outer actions. When we start to go in, we have to have some sense of what the layers are that we're looking for. And so those layers, they go down. So it's intellect is the most kind of one we're most, it's the one that's most accessible. And then you have the emotional layer, which in this society, it seems like everybody is afraid of emotional layers. And I think just naturally being human, we don't really like feeling, because it makes us feel like we're a little out of sync, or a little messy, or a little unstable at times. And then you just keep working down, and as we start to open up those aspects of the self, so that you can understand how those relationships got formed between those parts, that's what produces more. And the reason it produces more is because you're actually getting access to more of you.